trying to remove this message here so I can be able to use. Thank you once again. My study, the topic, as it's been alluded, is healthcare professionals' experiences of reviewers' conduct during incident reviews at public hospitals in Gauteng, South Africa. I'm a student supervised at the University of Witwatersrand by Dr. Sue Armstrong and Dr. Nkosi. The incident reviews are quality improvement initiatives in healthcare settings where after an adverse event, there's a panel of dedicated team that will schedule a session. This team sits to determine the sequence leading to the adverse events. The problem statement of this topic is that the researcher was invited to attend meetings where she observed that the involved healthcare professionals were not supported. Instead, they were assigned blame, they were emotionally distressed, and the researcher could not find studies that explored the experiences in literature regarding the conduct of the reviewers after adverse events. Hence the research question. Please tell me your experiences of the reviewers' conduct during the incident reviews. The purpose of this study was to gain an understanding of the healthcare professionals' experiences of the reviewers' conduct during incident reviews at specific public hospitals in Gauteng, South Africa. The objectives of the study were as follows: to explore and describe these experiences, to conceptualize the findings within relevant literature, and to develop recommendations that are going to assist these healthcare professionals. This was a qualitative, descriptive, and phenomenological contextual study conducted in 3 public hospitals in Gauteng. The setting, as I've just alluded, it was 3 diverse settings. It was a regional hospital, an academic hospital, and a specialist hospital. The first 3 participants were purposely sampled. Thereafter, the rest, the 8 actually, were snowballed by the first 3. The researcher conducted individual semi-structured interviews, which were digital recorded. The maximum time was 45 to 60 minutes, all in all, per person. However, it actually took longer because during the course of the interviews, the researcher had to take breaks because this was a very sensitive issue. Clearance was obtained from the Witwatersrand University Human Research Ethics Council, after which the research committees of the respective settings also granted a permission. Trustworthiness according to Lincoln and Gruber, credibility, transferability, dependability, and confirmability were adhered to, as well as ensuring ethical consideration by Mason of beneficence and non-maleficence, autonomy, and justice. The findings from this study, there were 3 themes. The first one was the experiences of the reviewers' conduct before the reviews. The second one, experiences of the reviewers' conduct during the reviews. And the third one, experiences of the reviewers' conduct after the reviews. With the first one, the experiences of the reviewers' conduct before the reviews, what came out was shock and belief were notified, where one of the quotes, I quote, "I froze and exclaimed, 'Oh my word, what now?' I was so disturbed and disorganized. I struggled to concentrate during the report handover." The second category from this theme, frustration and lack of guidance. I quote, I asked the matron, what next? What should we bring? She just shrugged her shoulders, walked away. No one was willing to assist, nor indicate what was needed. I mean, even the venue, most of the participants had no clue where it was because some of them, it was their first time going through this process. The second theme was the experiences of the reviewers' conduct during the reviews. You remember the first one was before the actual review process. So the second theme was during the actual review process. The subcodes that came there, firstly, the categories: sadness when assigned blame for the adverse event, where a participant was quoted, "I was blamed for redressing a wound without informing the zone head. Imagine the initiative. They had concluded that I was so guilty, so why bother?" With this participant, a pressure sore was discovered by one of the zone matrons. And after going through the process of blaming, shaming, and screaming, the person took the initiative to dress the wound for the comfort of the patient. That actually became a challenge. And that is why the person is saying, I was blamed for taking the initiative. The second sub-theme is the person mentioned being speechless when questioned in interrogated manner. Quoting, "I was asked multiple questions without getting a chance to respond, let alone breathe. The questions were personal, hurting, and I was told that, especially for a person with a specialty, I should have known better. What do you say in that case?" The person felt they were belittled, shamed, especially because these reviews happened in front of a panel of a full hall where there are juniors, there are seniors, and to make it worse, the people in the specialty, they were regarded by most of their juniors as people that knew. So the person was deflated and they felt this was more of interrogation than a review. The third theme, the experiences of reviewers' conduct after the reviews. There was helplessness at lack of the feedback, as according to the quote, the person mentioned, "I cannot find closure because I got no feedback. Excuse me, how do I move on or even improve and prevent a repeat of the same mistake? The system has failed me." The other category is, this was a wake-up call. I learned from the experience. This participant mentioned that, "I am more attentive and from now on I am focused. I learned as this was an eye-opener. I surely cannot repeat that mistake ever in my career." The reviewer's conduct was negatively experienced by all but one participant who had just started work and regarded this as a learning curve. For the rest or most of them, they felt that the conclusions were drawn as experienced by the assigning of the blame, by being asked questions in a hurtful, personal, and interrogative manner, not being given an opportunity to ask questions, not being given an opportunity to respond to the questions, or even say the story according to the way it happened. Empathy and emotional support to the healthcare professionals were undermined, and as a result, all of them, no briefing was offered, not even a suggestion of a briefing. However, when the researcher was busy with this process, there was an opportunity to make use of a distress protocol that was on standby. With this in mind, these are the recommendations that came from the participants themselves. The first recommendation is that there should be a lead reviewer. That is the person who is going to be in charge, like a team leader of reviewers, who has extensive knowledge in the process who will be able to facilitate the reviewing process, because from the observations of the participants, everybody was in charge, which became a challenge for them, hence the feeling and the assigning of blame and shaming. The second recommendation was that inasmuch as the reviewing process is supposed to lessen the adverse events and ensure that patient safety is not undermined, the process should be less personal, with no hating, no personal feelings should be exposed, and no asking of questions in an interrogative manner as if a person has committed a crime. Because one mentioned, I was actually feeling like I'm in a police station or in a holding cell. The way the questions were being thrown at me, I could not even respond because I did not know who actually asked the question. The other recommendation is that there should be training of a reviewer team members. From this training, there should be role clarification, where each team member will know exactly what is their role. There should be one who will be able to manage the time like a timekeeper. There should be one who will be able to say how many questions each person is going to be asking. There should be one who will be able to say, this is how you communicate your questions, so that the reviewers can detach themselves from the incident or from the review. Because the healthcare professionals mentioned that the people, the reviewers, they actually took the whole process personal and they were not able to detach from themselves. So for each event, they assessed it and told themselves that this is so serious, and the manner in which the questions were asked were just as deep. Another recommendation was the inclusion of debriefing before, during, and after. It emerged from this study that the very getting a message that you are going for an incident review disturbed most of them, as alluded that one of them said after they got a notification, they were not even be able to continue handover from the other staff members because they were handed the notification just when they were handing over the report between the night and the day staff. Hence, debriefing would have been very helpful for this person in particular. During the process, debriefing was needed because the manner in which the questions were asked, it was personal, and some of the questions they alluded were not even related to the event itself. Some of the family members some of them, they even managed to call the staff and ask what happened to so and so. That is actually breaching the confidentiality between the hospital, the patient, and the healthcare professional. The recommendation after the review was needed by all of them, even the one who said they learned a lesson, because all of them felt that the whole process was negatively experienced. Inasmuch as all of them were concerned about patient safety, they wanted to ensure that everything that they have learned came out of this was a learning process. They wanted to make sure that they do not repeat the same mistakes. However, the whole session, it was not a very positively experienced. The objectivity, the emotional support, learning, and patient safety, this should be the goal of incident review. And according to the recommendations of the healthcare professionals, all these were in vain. Hence, it has come to the conclusion that it will be wise for the people to actually go through the training, look at the recommendations, sit down and brainstorm about them, and make sure that at the end of it all, the person who is involved in the healthcare professional is able to go through the emotions, be provided the support that is necessary, and ensuring that they are able to stay in the career, able to find closure, able to apologize to the patient, and ultimately to stay in the career. Because in this era where shortage of nurses is so high, the least we can do is preserve our nurses, ensure that we acknowledge what they are doing. Thank you so much.